This program is brought to you by Emory University.
He saw what Clark did.
You have to keep this side of yourself a secret.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
I have so many questions. Where do I come from?
You just have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be, Clark. Whoever that man is.
Conflict is interesting. It makes interesting characters, it makes interesting stories. The way people react and respond to adversity is what makes people psychologically interesting. Now here comes Superman, who seems like he would have very few conflicts. Man of steel, bulletproof, faster than a speeding train, able to leap buildings tall buildings in a single leap. There seems as there would be very few things that would get in his way and cause conflict. But what is it about Superman or Clark Kent that is interesting or psychologically appealing? And psychological researchers have looked at how do we think about identity, our personal identity? And some researchers have developed what they call a two-polarity model of experience, that identity is formed of two basic issues, one being our self-definition and the other being our level of interpersonal relatedness. And so how does this apply to Clark Kent's Superman? Let's look at his level of self-definition. How does someone with all of these superpowers, how do they come to understand themselves? How does he form a moral code? How does he apply his powers in a way that's true to himself and that he can feel good about and that's helpful? And we see young Clark Kent struggle with that identity formation. This is really the time in his story where he comes to those questions of how do I cope with my powers but also fit in? How does he define who he is? And some of that definition is a rejection of his super identity through Clark Kent, who is a kind of exaggerated compensation for those superpowers. Clark Kent is clumsy, he's not socially skilled, he's not powerful, he's a little bit weak. So it's sort of a compensation against that superhuman identity. Similar to Batman's story, and similar even to Peter Parker, Spider-Man, there's a loss of a father or father figure that really plays out meaningfully. And I think for all adolescents, that identity struggle is something we can all relate to in some level or another. We are aware of new physical capabilities in our bodies, new things that we can do, new feelings and experiences that haven't been felt before. And we're also acutely aware, sometimes in a very painful way, of how much do we fit in? How much are we accepted by other people? And are people going to notice these changes to my body, my identity, so we try on different roles and identities. And I think young Clark Kent, and you see a lot of adolescent-based stories around Superman and his origin story, is trying to figure that out during his adolescent period. How do I come to grips with the way that physically I manifest and physically the things that I can do that in some ways set me apart from other people? That my unique abilities, my strengths, my talents, that I'm able to get sort of self-efficacy from are the very things that are distancing me or make me unique from others and maybe potentially rejected. So how do you come to grips with that? And you see him struggle with trying to use those powers for good and to help out other people, but also a sense of shame about being seen with those powers. And in ways he bounces back and forth between, do I show those? Can I use those to show off and impress other people? Or should I hide them? And should I hide away from society? And you see him try and balance back and forth between those things before he finally comes to a sort of integration and acceptance of, yes, I have these, yes, they make me unique, but yes, I'm also a person who is related and integrated with other people in this world.